Hello, people. Welcome to a new episode of Down to Earth with Christian Harloff. Today is very important for Christian because he's finally doing his move on a permanent basis to New York City. I think he's going to be on the outskirts of the heart of New York. But yeah, he asked me to cover for him today and tomorrow, so that's what I'm doing. Today we're gonna cover a very interesting story that partly was already covered in other places, but I managed to find Patrick did a great coverage of an aspect of this story. So Dr. Garry Nolan was just on the show Ironclad, which is a very famous podcast with a large following. He offered some insights of a story that I had been curious about for a while. He doesn't mention anybody by name, but he basically says that there are already operations from civilians of crash retrievals.
There's one legal way to do it is to go out and look for the evidence ourselves, right? The stuff that is obtained or claimed to be obtained is in the possession of the government because they got there first.
How do they always seem to get there first, though? Is it detection before it impacts?
We have an amazing detection system.
Okay.
Satellites that you've spent billions and billions of dollars on putting up, when stuff goes awry, they get there first. They really do. And so one of the first problems many in the public make, or one of the mistakes they make, is alerting the government first.
Ballsy call.
It's a ball, yeah. So you do that. You think you're doing the right thing, but there are operations being set up to make parallel retrieval teams that have nothing to do with the government to get there first. Okay. And hopefully not engage yourself in a firefight. But they have the means to get there first. Let's just put it that way. Now, the second point is observational work that's being done by the likes of Avi Loeb and the Galileo project, right? Where, I might not have a piece of hardware that I can show you, but I have legitimate measurements.
That's new information. Patrick did an amazing coverage on his channel about this specific part, but I made a connection earlier today because the first time I saw this gentleman, his name is PatrickQJackson, the first time I saw him was on a Skyfire News live stream, and what he talked about sounded really, really wild. Basically, he is the author of a book called Quantum Paranormal, for those who don't know, but he has developed, at least that's what he says he has developed a system of identifying orbs. That the orbs are essentially the sighting that has been documented throughout hundreds of years. And it's the same one. It's like an orb, a metallic sphere, or at night they're luminous spheres. And Patrick believes that these are some kind of a system. He calls them type 1 to 3 sphere orbs. And I'm going to show you a graphic right now made by Patrick. The type 1 sphere is called the interceptor. That's what he calls it, which is a sphere that is high above near the atmosphere. The type 2 sphere is called the data relay. It's approximately between 9 feet 43 inches and 9 feet 51 inches. These link type 3 network to the type 1 sphere cluster in V formation. I don't know if you guys have noticed before that many of the accounts or reports about these spheres are always that they're like 3 or 4 and they're in formation, and they have happened all over the world. I mean, I'm from Mexico, and there are many, many videos and stories about these spheres. I live near the Pacific, where we have the Lights of the Pacific. It's a famous event that happens every few years, where there are a lot of spheres just glowing in the horizon, big ones. And so this has happened forever. And Patrick, when I saw his story, he has a website where he even sells some devices that are allegedly equipped for paranormal investigations. This sounds a little out of my pay grade, to be honest with you, because I'm only starting to get like more into the paranormal stuff. I'm more into consciousness studies and the stuff about the UAP, because before 2017, as everybody else, I didn't think any of it was real. I thought there was a little bit of evidence, but I realized that I was so wrong. And yeah, there is evidence. So Dr. Garry Nolan already spoke about Patrick in a previous interview with Ross Coldhart, but he doesn't say his name. He says an English gentleman.
Well, the most interesting thing about this story is, that the metal sphere story came to my attention because of a gentleman in England had been noticing in a lot of the pictures of claimed UFOs that they were often, you'd have the central object, and then there would be at least 3 or 4 of these metal spheres that would be surrounding it almost as if they were scouts or guards. And it's fascinating because he could go back 30, 40 years and find this exact same phenomenon. You would have the central UFO, and then you would have 3 or 4 spheres around it. So you could claim that any individual picture was a UFO. But this story of the spheres, these objects, really didn't happen until recently. So how did a hoaxer, multiple hoaxers, know 5 decades ago to not only put a UFO in the picture, to put 4 or 5 spheres? Because I have never heard this story before, and I've read a lot.
And when Patrick was on Skyfire News, I didn't realize he was the one that Dr. Nolan was talking about. But then there was a tweet back in May 29 that completely missed me, of Dr. Garry Nolan talking about Patrick's work. And this is what he said: I am deeply aware of the situation, which is the work that Patrick is doing. I find the results and general observations compellingly worth trying to understand. So everyone knows, I have been talking to Patrick for over a year and was among the first to try and get him out there. I think there's something worth investigating. Sets of spheres seen in photos that were unnoticed over decades, if not hundreds of years, I may add. Who would know to hoax them repeatedly until Patrick noticed them? Full credit to him. No claim to claim communication, at a minimum, you have to triangulate signal generation, changes in signaling indicating communications, etc., and rule out half a dozen other reasons microwaves would be a side product of something else, or a decoy signal, or whatever. There are probably a lot of other ideas I would have never thought of to conclude communication. So far, to my knowledge, or anything made public, nothing has been tried. Last, I will say it: possibilities are often more interesting than answers, especially wrong answers. And then Patrick today retweeted that, reposted that. And it really called my attention because apparently, by what I'm reading here, Patrick already has a system in place to identify these orbs before anybody else. How does he do it? He explains in Skyfire News. I'm gonna drop the link there. He has another couple of interviews that I'm gonna link there too, where he explains how he does it. It's through frequency triangulation. And these devices that he has for sale, I think one of them is an EMF detector. And so I don't know. The fact that Dr. Nolan is given credit to him, I think it already speaks volumes. So I want to know your thoughts on it. So the reaction from Patrick is he tagged Ross Coulthard to tell him that maybe it's time for an interview. And I happen to agree. So I reached out to Patrick. He hasn't responded yet, but he knows that I've already reached out to him. So let's hope he responds. But I think that this is a great find, and it's a great connection to make what Dr. Garry Nolan is talking about. I think it's really important to make this connection, because if Patrick is already doing it and successfully before any of the other teams that are government controlled, how many more people are trying to do this and we have no idea they're doing it, you know? Maybe Patrick is the only one, I don't know. But the fact that a civilian is already doing this is extremely consequential to whatever this is. And I think it's important to highlight it and tell us what you think. I want to thank everybody for being part of this community, that we're already close to 27,000. So thank you, everyone. All of your comments, we try to read all of them and respond to most of them if we can. And both Christian and I are very happy for the way that this is working out and how the channel has been growing. And next week we have the first UAP Tuesday on the Down to Earth channel, because Christian decided to change it to here so the other channel can live on with the pop culture stuff and thrive as well, because I think it's one of the best channels on the topic. So it needs a lot more followers, if I'm honest with you. So I want you to leave a comment, tell us what you think about this revelation from Dr. Garry Nolan. He talked a lot about what the government may have as evidence too. So I wanna leave the link in the description so you can see the interview, and let me know what you think about those statements. But and what do you think about what Patrick is doing? The fact that he got this validation from Dr. Nolan is huge. And if he knows already how to attract or track these orbs and what they may be, I want to talk to him. And I think Christian will want to talk to him too. So let us know what you think. If you like this video, you find value in it, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Help us reach 27K and keep moving forward. In Christian's name, this is Pavel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.